Hi everyone and welcome to A+ English. I'm Joe.
And I'm Winnie. Today we're going to talk about famous literature work, The Bluebird of Happiness. Have you read it before?
I have not read this story before, but I do know it's from a Belgian author by the name of Maurice Maeterlinck. Okay, so that's the author, that's the writer of this story.
Belgium.
He's from Belgium, the country of Belgium. It's kind of somewhere near Germany, the Netherlands, in that kind of area of Europe.
I think I know they are famous for like the peeing boy.
That statue. He's peeing in a fountain. Actually, my grandma has a picture of that. She went there on vacation, and when she came back, that was the first thing that she showed me, was a statue of a boy peeing in a fountain. I was about 5 when she showed that to me, and I thought it was hilarious. So that's what I knew about Belgium at the time. But, of course, they are famous for this story, too.
Literature, too. Sounds familiar. So I might have heard the story from the title. I guess there's a bluebird. It's about happiness and...
That is a good guess. Yes, it's called The Bluebird of Happiness. So I guess we're going to have a bluebird, and there's going to be some happiness involved. I'm sure there's more than just those two things involved in the story.
Well, it's good that we're going to find out all about the story for the next 3 days.
Yes, let's go ahead and get to the article right now. The Bluebird of Happiness.
Long ago, Till, Mittel and their parents lived in a small house. It was Christmas Eve, but Mother and Father had no money to buy gifts. The kids didn't mind. They were happy looking at their neighbor's Christmas tree and feast. Finally, it was time for bed. Till and Mittel were asleep for a few minutes before a noise woke them up. It was a fairy. The fairy looked like their neighbor, Mrs. Burlingame. She said,
"Please help my sick daughter. She needs the bluebird of happiness to get better."
Till said,
"I have a bird, but it's a white dove."
The fairy replied,
"You must find the bluebird."
Eve. December 31st is New Year's Eve. December 31st is New Year's Eve. Neighbor. We invited our neighbors over for a barbecue. We invited our neighbors over for a barbecue. Asleep. Marianne rocked the baby until she fell asleep. Marianne rocked the baby until she fell asleep. Noise. I can't study when there's too much noise. I can't study when there's too much noise.
All right, the story begins today by saying, long ago, Till and Mittel and their parents lived in a small house. We often see old stories or fables, fairy tales start with long ago. It just means, well, a long time ago, in the past. Sometimes we also start with once upon a time or in a land far, far away. These are common ways we start these old sort of fairy tales or folk tales.
Is that from Shrek?
Shrek, yes. How does Shrek start? Something like that. In a long time ago, in a far away land. In the land of far, far away. I think that's Shrek. All these old stories seem to start like that.
很多童话故事都是从很久很久以前开头，这里我们就学到英文可以用 long ago。很久以前，他们住在一个小小的屋子里。这里我们看到有3组人嘛，我们就用逗号来隔开 A 逗点 B 逗点 and C。Till, Mittel, and their parents.
It was Christmas Eve, but mother and father had no money to buy gifts. Okay, it's Christmas time. Christmas is a time when we give gifts to each other, of course, to show that we care for one another. It's a very old Christian tradition around this time, December 25th. Christmas Eve, of course, is December 24th. That's the night before Christmas. But we have some sadness here. Mother and father had no money to buy gifts. Yes, Christmas is an expensive time of year. You have to spend a lot of money to show how much you care for everyone.
And if you don't have money, does it mean...
You could make your own gifts, I guess, if you have some artistic skill, if you can draw, or if you can knit a sweater or something like that. You could do that.
You have to come up with something.
Otherwise, it's going to cost you a lot of money.
So 这个时候就是这个圣诞节前夕，就是我们说的平安夜啦。他们家太穷，没办法买礼物，所以我们知道 Christmas 是在 December 25th， Christmas Eve 就是前夕12月24号啦。
Let's take a look at this word Eve. Remember, Christmas Eve, December 24th. Eve is a noun, and it is spelled E-V-E. It's very easy to spell, and it just means the night or day before an important day. For example, December 31st is New Year's Eve. December 31st is New Year's Eve.
Eve 放在一些重要节日前面就是前夕，比如说我们说到平安夜 Christmas Eve， 或是在例句中12月31号就是新年的前夕，就是我们说的跨年夜啦。So, no gifts for little Tito in middle?
I guess not, but the story says the kids didn't mind.
Wow.
Okay, if you don't mind, it means something doesn't bother you.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's not a worry for them. They were happy looking at their neighbor's Christmas tree and feast. At Christmas time, we always have a tree, a nice green pine tree that we cut down and put inside our homes. That's where the presents go under. These are all the Christmas traditions.
And you have to decorate it?
You have to decorate it. You put all these different things on the tree to make it look nice and pretty and festive. That's all part of the Christmas season.
所以他们这个小 Tito and Middle 很体贴啦，他们并不在意。但是他们可以看有圣诞树。Where do they get a Christmas tree?
Christmas tree, sometimes you go into the forest and you would cut it down, if it's allowed there. A lot of places now you can't just go into the forest and cut down a tree. You'll actually get in trouble with the police. A lot of people now, in modern times, they'll just go buy one. There are people who will have a business just once a year in December where you will go to a place and buy a tree from them. In these times, I guess they would just cut down their own. They could do that back then. But these guys, they were happy just to look at their neighbor's Christmas tree and feast. A feast is a big meal, just lots of different dishes and food. And a neighbor is someone who lives next to you. Neighbor, N-E-I-G-H-B-O-R. For example, we could say, we invited our neighbors over for a barbecue. We invited our neighbors over for a barbecue.
哦，真的是太感人了。体贴的小 Tito 和 Middle 看着邻居的圣诞树和大餐就心满意足了。原来这个圣诞树是邻居家的，邻居就是 neighbor， 就是住在你左邻右舍的好处比。What do you normally do with your neighbors?
My neighbors, sometimes we have meals together.
Wow.
Yeah, if you're friendly with your neighbors. Some people, they don't know their neighbors. They might not talk to each other. They might just nod to each other when they see one another or simply say hello or something simple like that. But sometimes neighbors are friendly. If you get to know them, sometimes you can hang out and become friends with them too.
所以在例句中是说，我们邀请邻居们一起来 barbecue 烤肉。So how did Tito and Middle's Christmas end up?
Finally, it was time for bed. So it was a very uneventful Christmas, it seems. They had no presents, so they just looked at their neighbor's Christmas tree and feast. Then it was time for bed. They had to go to sleep.
It is time for something 意思就是该是时候做某件事。你也可以说 it is time to do something 后面加 to V 意思也是一样的。那这刚好是我们这次的 Magic Box， 我们一起来找亮点吧。
Magic Box 找亮点。
Hey guys, it's time for Albie's Magic Box. 没错，又是 Albie 找亮点的时间啦。就像 Albie 一开始讲的 It's time for something， 其实这个用法很常听到哦。It's time for 后面接上名词，意思就是什么什么的时候啦。你知道我以前最怕听到什么吗？我最怕我妈一大早来敲我的门说 It's time for school, Albie， 上学的时间到啦。不，我不想听，各位不要逃避现实啦 Wake up and get ready for school。 好，那你们猜猜看我最爱听到什么呢？相信我们有心电感应吧？没错，就是 It's time for breakfast, It's time for lunch, or It's time for dinner. Oh, my favorite. 吃东西啦。早餐、午餐、晚餐，只要是吃饭的时间都可以，尽管来叫我吧。那这边我跟各位补充一下哦，除了 It's time for 加上名词，你也可以用 It's time for somebody to do something， 意思也是一样的哦。各位同学注意到哦，这边 for 的后面接的是人，特别指出某人的什么时间到了。再来接 to， 然后原形动词。例如我们把刚刚说到的例句用这样的方式说说看。It's time for you to go to school， 该是你去上学的时候啦。那再来另外一句呢？ It's time for you to eat breakfast. It's time for you to eat lunch. It's time for you to eat dinner. 一样的，你这个吃早餐或者中餐晚餐的时间到了。好的，经过 Albie 的解释有比较清楚了吗？已经这么晚了。Alright, I guess it's time for me to say goodbye. Bye guys, see you next time.
The story goes on to say Tiltul and Middle were asleep for a few minutes before a noise woke them up. So remember, it was time for bed, but something was going to wake them up. They were asleep. Asleep is an adjective. That means sleeping or not awake. You are resting. For example, we could say, Marianne rocked the baby until she fell asleep. Marianne rocked the baby until she fell asleep.
我们来学这个很好记的形容词 sleep 大家都会就是睡觉嘛，我们在前面加上一个 a 变成 asleep 形容词，意思是睡着的熟睡的，比如像是例句中 Marianne 就是轻轻的摇直到宝宝睡着。 So they were sleeping for just a few minutes and what woke them up?
What woke them up was a noise, N-O-I-S-E. That's a noun, and it's a loud or unpleasant sound. For example, we could say, I can't study when there's too much noise. I can't study when there's too much noise.
Would that bother you?
Too much noise? No, I like noise. I like loud music. I'm the one who's making the noise and waking people up. I'm the bad neighbor that's
You're the bad neighbor.
I'm the bad neighbor, yeah, but I try not to make too much noise.
Noise 是噪音 If there's too much noise, it is noisy. 太多噪音就很吵杂啦，就变成 noisy 就变成形容词。所以例句就是说太多噪音我们没办法念书。So back to the story. What was the noise from that woke them up?
It was a fairy. Okay, a fairy is like a little magical creature. It's like a little person, but they're small and they can do magic. They can do all kinds of fantastic things. The fairy looked like their neighbor, Mrs. Berlingot. She said, Please help my sick daughter. She needs the bluebird of happiness to get better.
Here's the bluebird.
Finally, we know what the bluebird of happiness is, sort of.
So 原来这只青鸟不是普通的青鸟，是只会带来快乐的青鸟。所以这个长得很像邻居的小仙女 Fairy 跟他们说，救救我生病的女儿 Please save my daughter. 她需要一只快乐的青鸟让病快点好起来。So are they able to save her daughter?
Well, Tiltul said, I have a bird, but it's a white dove. Okay, it's not a bluebird.
Dove. What's a dove? I know soap, that's Dove soap.
A dove, well, that's the bird. In the West, we traditionally associate them with peace, like a white dove. You'll see them when people are trying to promote no war or peace, things like that. But yeah, it's not a bluebird, and it's not a bluebird of happiness.
No, so he cannot help him?
I'm not sure. Well, the fairy replied, You must find the bluebird. Okay, so I guess the dove, it's not good enough.
It has to be
the bluebird. Yes, not a dove of happiness. This is a bluebird of happiness that we need.
所以仙女说一定要找到青鸟，一定要找到青鸟，所以她的这个鸽子没办法帮助啦。
Okay, so I guess they're going to have to figure something out here. They need the bluebird of happiness. All they have is a dove at this point. We're going to find out what's going to happen with the rest of the story. Before we leave you today, though, let's go to our wrap-up. All right, so at the end of the story, we saw that they had a bird, but it wasn't the right bird. It was a dove, not the bluebird of happiness. So, Winnie, what do you think about how Tiltil and Middle are going to help the fairy?
They have to find the bluebird to help the daughter. Can they paint the dove blue?
That's a good idea.
Right?
That's a good idea. I like the way you think. You're thinking outside the box. They could paint the dove blue, but...
Or is that animal abuse?
That might not... You might have people, the police knocking on your door for animal abuse.
No?
No, I don't think that's going to work. But you're thinking, I like that, but I think we need some other ideas here.
And I think there's another problem. How are they going to know that this bluebird is the bird of happiness?
Yeah, I don't get that. Are you going to go out into the forest and okay, there's a bluebird. Is it going to wink at you? Is it going to say, hi, I'm the bluebird of happiness? Yeah, you're looking for me. I'm the one you want. I'm going to go with you. Let's get this done. I'm not sure. We're going to find out on the next program, though. We'll carry on with the story of the bluebird of happiness. Until then, for A+, I'm Joe.
And I'm Winnie. See you tomorrow.
Goodbye.
A+ 小聚会。
Don't forget to put on more sunscreen.
Don't forget to put on more sunscreen.
Hi, it's Vina here. 其实呢 Vina 我一直有个困扰，就是我没有白皙的皮肤。但无论如何呢，也阻挡不了我喜欢往户外跑、出去玩耍的心。不管皮肤白不白，记得健康最重要。尤其是在炎炎的夏日啊 ，Don't forget to put on more sunscreen. Don't forget to put on more sunscreen. 别忘了要再多擦一层防晒乳哦。在今天的小聚会里呢 ，Don't forget to do something 就是别忘记做某事的意思。Don't forget to bring your bathing suit or bikini with you when you go to the beach. 去海边呢，你千万别忘记带泳衣或者比基尼。而 put on 是指抹上、擦上的意思。除了涂抹防晒乳外呢，出门前 Vina 我都要一直拜托我的小侄子穿了鞋带出门，穿戴上什么呢？你也可以用这个片语。Please put on your shoes, Bryden. Bryden, 请穿上你的鞋好吗？或是女生们啊，在约会前会上个妆。Some girls put on makeup before having a date. 这些日常生活就可以用到的句型片语，其实也没有这么难啦。好啦，肉肉等讲了这么多，去海边可别忘了戴酷酷的墨镜，避免直视阳光哦。Don't forget to put on your sunglasses. And now I think it's time for our 小聚会。Don't forget to practice as much as you can. Don't forget to put on more sunscreen. 好啦，小聚会我们明日见咯 See you all, bye.
Don't forget to put on more sunscreen.
Don't forget to put on more sunscreen.
The bluebird of happiness.
Long ago, Tiltil, Mittel, and their parents lived in a small house. It was Christmas Eve, but Mother and Father had no money to buy gifts. The kids didn't mind. They were happy looking at their neighbor's Christmas tree and feast. Finally, it was time for bed. Tiltil and Mittel were asleep for a few minutes before a noise woke them up. It was a fairy. The fairy looked like their neighbor Mrs. Burlingame. She said,
Please help my sick daughter. She needs the bluebird of happiness to get better.
Tiltil said,
I have a bird, but it's a white dove.
The fairy replied,
You must find the bluebird.
Eve. Eve. December 31st is New Year's Eve. December 31st is New Year's Eve. Neighbor. neighbor. We invited our neighbors over for a barbecue. We invited our neighbors over for a barbecue. Asleep. Asleep. Marianne rocked the baby until she fell asleep. Marianne rocked the baby until she fell asleep. Noise. Noise. I can't study when there's too much noise. I can't study when there's too much noise.